Today, I'd like to discuss an increasingly critical but understudied topic, the growing importance of class on life expectancy. Whether gauged by area, education, or lifetime earnings, class has an inordinate impact on trends in life expectancy. The most salient example to highlight is that well-to-do men are now increasingly likely to outlive women of average economic means. Because of the fiscal strain associated with increases in life expectancy, the most common policy prescription is to raise the normal retirement age from 67 to 70. This is, however, a policy that subverts the original progressive intent of Social Security. Therefore, policymakers must consider alternative strategies, including limiting the benefits received by wealthy recipients. I'd like to highlight some key findings from recent studies concerning this matter. We begin with a study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association by Raj Jetty, an economics professor at Stanford University. This research shows that the richest 1% of American men live nearly 15 years longer on average than the poorest 1%. For women, the average difference is just over 10 years. Chetty's study, involving analysis of 1.4 billion tax returns, revealed that between 2001 and 2014, life expectancy rose by 3 years for the richest 5% of Americans, while for the poorest 5% there was no increase. The study's author adds that men in the bottom 1% of the U.S. income distribution have a life expectancy comparable to that of someone living in Pakistan or Sudan. Chetty also sheds light on the impact of region or area, finding that the poorest citizens of some cities, like New York or Los Angeles, lived nearly as long as the richest 1% in other areas, like Las Vegas or Tulsa. Chetty notes that the study has clear implications for Social Security and Medicare. The fact that people don't live as long means that they are paying into the system without getting the same benefits, a fact that needs to be considered in any discussion about raising the retirement age. I'd like to share with you some results from a recent GAO study. The General Accountability Office in 2016 discovered that those who delay retirement and collecting Social Security are disproportionately well off, and by age 70 begin earning larger checks and over a lifetime receive more money from the government. The GAO sees a growing share of all Social Security benefits going to people with higher incomes and a shrinking share to lower income individuals. Of all the studies completed so far, the National Academy of Sciences offers the most information about this topic. In 2015, the National Academies of Sciences documented that the richest beneficiaries born in 1960 will accrue benefits worth $522,000. Among the poorest born, however, the benefits received over a lifetime were pegged at about $390,000. In their report, the NAS discovered that the impact of raising the retirement age from 67 to 70, an idea that's advocated by many politicians, would have this incredible disparity effect. They concluded that raising the normal retirement age from 67 to 70 would reduce the lifetime value of Social Security benefits for wealthy 50-year-olds by 20%, and for the poorest group by 25%. Since the poorer group dies earlier, forcing them to wait to begin drawing their benefits would eliminate a relatively larger portion of their retirement. As Peter Orszag, an author of the report and a former Obama administration official, said, "It's a common refrain to say life expectancy is increasing, so we should raise the normal retirement age under Social Security. The problem with that is it's true that average life expectancy is increasing, but that's because high earners' life expectancies are increasing." There's another study that's similar from the Brookings Institute I'd like to share with you. It adds to the view that the longevity gap between high-income and low-income Americans has been widening sharply. They looked at life expectancy at age 50 for men and found that those born in 1920 lived 6 years less than the top 10% income earners for that year. For men born in 1950, that figure more than doubled to 14 years. Among women, the gap between the highest and lowest income individuals grew to 13 years from 4.7 years. Overall, life expectancy for the bottom 10% of wage earners improved by just 3% for men born in 1950 compared with those in 1920, while among the top 10%, the increase was nearly 28%. This really shows the impact of class on life expectancy. Reflecting on the report, Elizabeth Bradley, a professor of public health at Yale, asserts that at the heart of the disparity are economic and social inequities, and these are things that high-tech medicine cannot possibly fix. So, class inequality, whether measured by region, educational attainment, or lifetime earnings, is altering the long-held advantage by women in life expectancy. This historic reversal may be the most critical and telltale aspect of the relationship between Social Security and life expectancy. Let's consider the impact of increasing class inequality on life expectancy by gender. Life expectancy is higher for women than for men all across the globe, but there is much regional variation. The differences between the sexes are greater in the developed world than in the developing world. For individual women, the importance of the life expectancy disparity often means outliving one's spouse, living alone, and poorer economic conditions as fewer resources are stretched out for additional years of life. According to Lisa Berkman, a social epidemiologist at the Harvard School of Public Health and author of a 2012 study in Health Affairs concerning the growing class gap, we, the United States, she's saying, now ranks at the bottom of the OECD countries. This wasn't true 30 years ago. It wasn't true 50 years ago. What's happened is that every other country has improved substantially, and we've improved just a tiny bit. So much less than all of the other countries that we're now behind. Berkman further states that while the best off and most educated and wealthiest Americans continue to experience increases in life expectancy, those at the bottom have not only stagnated, but in some cases have actually lost years of life expectancy over time. As the NAS study reveals, rich women will live on average 13 years longer and collect tens of thousands of dollars more in federal retirement benefits than poor women. While higher income women experience gains in life expectancy, poor women are steadily losing ground. The stress and social inequities associated with poverty manifest themselves in mental and physical health disparities. Additional evidence suggests that countries with higher levels of economic inequality have greater disparities in health outcomes, ranging from life expectancy and premature death to infant mortality and obesity. Even modest increases in wealth inequality are associated with double the cumulative risk of death. These inequalities have significant implications for social policy as longer living wealthy people collect more money over their lifetimes. In contrast, the poorest people who die early are increasingly paying for benefits they will never receive. Instead, their money is being redistributed to higher income individuals, reinforcing the pattern of income and wealth inequality. Recent cross-national evidence also implicates class as a more important variable than gender in understanding current trends in longevity. For example, the Office for National Statistics in England reported in 2015, for the first time since official records began being kept, that affluent men in England and Wales were outliving the average woman. The report stated that higher managerial and professional men could expect to live for 82.5 years, 1 month longer than the average woman. According to the ONS, the gap between the sexes narrowed dramatically in the past 30 years. But the data also shows that social class differences are a complicating factor, with males in lower income occupations living 6 years less than those in higher income jobs. ONS data show that since 1970, inequalities in life expectancy by income have widened for both sexes. In 1997 to 2001, the poorest women died 4 years earlier than the richest women. But that figure has since widened to 5.5 years, the biggest gap ever recorded. In all, data on life expectancy in England shows there are more than 100 areas, districts, or neighborhoods in which men are now outliving women, in some cases by as much as 5.5 years. So although women continue to outlive men throughout the world, it is becoming increasingly transparent that the role of social class is the dominant factor in explaining contemporary disparities in life expectancy. Specifically, women have now begun to lose the historic advantage they held due to widening income and wealth inequality. The social policy implication is plain. Over time, poor women will be burdened for paying the benefits received disproportionately by wealthy recipients. Let's now consider this whole issue from a more global perspective. According to the World Health Organization, a girl born in 2012 can expect to live to age 73 and a boy to age 68, an increase of 6 years over the global average in 1990. But importantly, the WHO's Director General states that there remains a major rich-poor divide. People in high-income countries have a much better chance of living longer than people in low-income countries. In 2015, Japan's life expectancy of nearly 85 years was the highest in the world. Life expectancy at birth for a girl reached nearly 87 years, and for a boy, it was 81 years. The WHO's report estimated that a boy born in a high-income country in 2021 can expect to live to the age of 76, 16 years longer than a boy born in a low-income country. For girls, the difference is 19 years, with the average lifetime at 82 years for high-income countries and 63 years in low-income countries. In some, as in the U.S., there is a global widening of life expectancy inequality due to growing income and wealth inequality. Likewise, the social and fiscal consequences, particularly as they pertain to social insurance programs, are being seriously affected in the same way as the growing wealth gap between rich and poor countries. The retirement age in the U.S. has already been raised once to 67, and many private pension plans are considering alternative and sometimes radical options altogether, such as abolishing their traditional pensions and offering workers a lump sum settlement instead. So, to sum all of this up, current trends in social inequality, in which the wealthy generally outlive the poor, means that the original progressive redistributive intent of Social Security and other social welfare programs has been subverted. Living longer, wealthy beneficiaries are increasingly accounting for a greater share of all government expenditures for Social Security. Whatever all the reasons may be behind the widening gap in life expectancy by class, the policy implications are plain. If gains in expected lifespans are concentrated among the well-to-do, we should not ask the less affluent to bear the main burden. Lifting the retirement age only makes sense if the gains in life expectancy are enjoyed equally by rich and poor alike. It makes little sense to ask the poor to wait longer for retirement benefits when a disproportionate share of the lifespan improvement is concentrated among the affluent. Indeed, in order to restore the original progressive intent of Social Security legislation, we need to contemplate policy prescriptions that require more affluent retirees to accept reduced benefits, including eliminating, but not limited to, cost of living adjustments, capping monthly benefits, and limiting the number of years wealthy individuals can receive social insurance benefits.